Hey everyone, welcome back to Football Talk with Vinny. In today's video, we're going to be going over the Tennessee Titans. So obviously this year they did win the division, but they did not win a playoff game as they ran up against the Baltimore Ravens, and that game was very close, and the Ravens won a super close ball game. To get right into the offseason, we'll go over the free agents that they did lose and did not re-sign. There's quite a few guys, so let me go over the names pretty quickly. It was Kenny Vaccaro, the safety, Dennis Kelly, the right tackle, Jadeveon Clowney, Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Desmond King. So you lost quite a significant amount of players that actually contributed and helped you win some ball games. I think Adoree Jackson didn't get to play too much. I think he got hurt. But everybody else actually did play a significant role in the roster. So that is quite a few guys to lose. So you are going to have a difficult time to try to replace as many of those guys as possible. And some of the significant signings that they did have was Bud Dupree. So that is a very big signing for the Tennessee Titans right there. They also were able to get Janoris Jenkins. Not crazy about the signing, but you did lose two corners, so you have to replace them with somebody. And then obviously the biggest free agency addition, which obviously was after the draft, but we're going to go over it now, was the Julio Jones addition. So obviously with getting Julio and losing Corey Davis, right, you actually upgrade at the position. Although Corey Davis is a younger receiver, I think if you're talking for just this season, who's going to be a better player and who would you rather have on your team, I think Julio is the clear-cut option. Now, if you're saying for the next 3 to 5 years, yeah, sure, you might take Corey Davis just because of the age, and eventually Julio Jones will not be the player he is. And I guess realistically, he is coming off an injury season, so if he were to be hurt again this year, you might actually take Corey Davis for this year. But I think most people, if they're both healthy, you would definitely take Julio Jones this season over Corey Davis. Now quickly, let me go over some of the guys that they did actually get to re-sign. So they re-signed a right tackle in Tyle Sombrero. Probably going to pronounce that name wrong, so I'll go ahead and spell it at the bottom. And then also Jeff Swaim, the tight end, and Jayon Brown, the linebacker. So again, although you let Jonnu Smith go, at least you re-signed the backup tight end. Although Dennis Kelly moved on, the right tackle, who played 97% of the snaps, you did re-sign the backup. So maybe if you're the Tennessee Titans, your thought process is, we're going to re-sign the backups for less money than what the starters got elsewhere, and they are just as good. Obviously, they know better than we do. They've got to see them practice over the last couple seasons. So if those guys are going to be the capable guys to step in and be the starters, then you're really not missing as many guys. It's really just the back end of the defense, because you did lose two corners and a safety. You obviously replaced Julio Jones with Corey Davis, so that's really considered an upgrade. Which obviously leads me right into the draft. With their first pick at 22, they took Caleb Farley, the corner. Now he was projected to be a top 10 player pretty much the entire draft process until they found out that he had back surgery. So obviously this is a pick more for the long-term future. Again, he might not be able to play right away in this season. Who knows? He might actually be able to play. But even if he's not, again, you don't take first-round picks with the prospect of them helping you week one of their rookie year. It's more of, do you think this player can come in and be a very good player for you? And if 2 years down the line he's a Pro Bowl caliber corner, the fact that maybe he has to sit out the first couple games won't matter as much. But really, if you're Tennessee, getting a top 10 overall draft prospect at 22 has to feel good, because again, if the back injuries don't linger and it's not like a reoccurring problem throughout his career, you essentially, if you're Tennessee, you got to steal even though at pick 22. Now at pick 53, they took an offensive lineman. They took Dylan Radunz. And then at pick 92, they took a linebacker in Monty Rice. And then just to round out that top 100, at pick 100, they took a cornerback in Elijah Molden. Very quickly, I'll go over the rest of the draft. Just outside the top 100 at 109, they took a wide receiver in Dez Fitzpatrick. 126, they took an outside linebacker in Rashad Weaver. At 205, they took another receiver at Racey McMath. And at 215, they took a safety at Brady Breeze. So quickly, again, if you try to focus in on those top 100 picks, I really liked the direction Tennessee went. You knew you needed help on the secondary, and you got help in obviously your first pick with Caleb Farley, and also the 100th pick with Elijah Molden. And then sandwiched in between those two picks, you took an offensive lineman to help bolster that. You did lose some guys. And then you also took a linebacker. And obviously, just barely outside that top 100 at pick 109, you did take a wide receiver to give you some depth. And also, 3-4 years down the line, if Julio does start to show some regression, you have a guy that can step in right away and take his place. So considering the Tennessee Titans lost a lot of free agents, I named a lot of players, they did a very good job at replacing a lot of those positions that they did lose. So I really liked their offseason. So with that, let's get right into the projections for the regular season. Now, obviously, I think them and the Colts, which I just did last video, they are going to be, I think, probably neck and neck for who wins that division. I think, obviously, if Julio Jones can come back and be that top 5 player, they have one of the scariest offenses, if not probably the scariest offense in the league. I understand that they might not have the most explosive, because that's definitely going to go to Kansas City, but this is an offense that literally can beat you every single way, right? If they play a defense that has a very good secondary, they can just give Derrick Henry the ball 35-40 times. If they play a defense that has a loaded front seven, maybe like the San Francisco 49ers, they're able to just pass the ball 30-40 times, and they can still win a ball game that way. Not too many teams in this league where if you could take away their strength on offense, which I guess you would say it's the running game for the Tennessee Titans, not many teams can beat you with their perceived weakness, which would be, I guess, Tennessee's passing offense, right? If you look at the really great offenses in today's NFL, right, obviously it's almost impossible to do this, but if you're able to take away some of the passing options for the Kansas City Chiefs, they're really not going to beat you through the ground. I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire, rookie running back, he had an okay season, he had some good games and some bad games, but realistically, they're not really going to beat you by running the ball. If you could take away the pass, it's going to be very difficult for them to win a ball game. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done. Again, getting back to Tennessee, which is the focus of today's video, they're an offense that can beat you literally every single way, right? If you want to put 8 in the box, fine, you're going to get absolutely torched. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are both going to win their one-on-one matchups, right? And even if you were to play a team like the Rams, who have Jalen Ramsey, whoever you put Ramsey on, they're just going to attack the other corner, right? If you play New England and you get, Stephon Gilmore, they're going to attack the other corner. I think Tannehill has shown over the last 2 seasons that now that he is in a much better situation than what he was in Miami, where he has a decent offensive line, a great running game, and some now great pass-catching receivers, right? He's able to be successful in an offense like that. So very quickly, for the range of wins I think Tennessee could possibly get, I want to say anywhere from 11 to 13. Now, obviously, with that extra game being played, usually 13 seems really high. But at this point, to win 13 games, that means you have to lose 4 games. So I definitely see 13-4 as a realistic possibility for Tennessee. I think obviously that is on the high end. I think you're probably going to want to have to go about 5-1, if not maybe 6-0 in your division if you want to finish the season 13-4. But again, I think they can, right? I think against Jacksonville, that's two pretty easy wins. The Texans should be 2 pretty easy wins as well. I guess if Deshaun Watson is able to play and he decides to play for Houston, maybe they split. But even then, even if Deshaun plays, I think Tennessee is so much better of a team. They could easily sweep them with or without Deshaun. So obviously, it's really the Colts, right? And, you could see them splitting. But again, if they're able to take both from the Colts, right, then they're probably going to win about 13 games. I think if you were to make a list of the top AFC teams, I think Tennessee is 4th or 5th really on the list, right? After maybe Kansas City, Buffalo, then you've probably got Cleveland, Baltimore, Tennessee, maybe not necessarily in that order, but you probably got those 3 teams right there. And really, I can make a case that Tennessee is probably the most well-rounded team really of any of the teams, because obviously with Buffalo and Kansas City, they're more offensively heavy teams. I could really make a case that Tennessee is the most well-rounded team in the entire AFC. Obviously, Baltimore is close, and I think Cleveland is close as well, whereas I think with Tennessee, you probably give the edge at quarterback over Cleveland, whereas maybe with Baltimore, you might say, if you think Lamar Jackson is just a better talent at the quarterback position, I think Tennessee's weapons on offense kind of makes up for it, whereas the Ravens are kind of lacking on that offensive side of the ball in terms of talent. So obviously, not only with Tennessee, but as I get into the other teams in the playoffs, I'm not really going to go all over what I think the playoff predictions are going to be. I'll probably make another video on just playoff predictions before the season starts. But again, I think in terms of regular season, I can easily see them anywhere from 10, 11 wins to about 13. And lastly, I want to just go over the money real quick. They have $8.1 million in cap space this year, and for next year they're at 9.1. So they are in a comfortable position to where they're not going to have to worry about having to release players and restructure contracts, but they're also not going to be flush with cap space to where next year you could see a big spending spree. So they're just a team that is obviously Super Bowl contenders right now, and again, probably for the next 2 or 3 years, as long as Derrick Henry is going to be Derrick Henry, which again, you don't know how long that's going to be. When you're a running back that's getting 300, 400 plus touches a season, sometimes it goes very quickly, especially the running back position. Obviously, Derrick Henry is a freak athlete. You probably think he can carry a bigger workload than most running backs. Also, I think people tend to forget the first 3-4 years of Derrick Henry's career. He was actually backing up DeMarco Murray, a former Cowboys running back, ironically. So I think he doesn't have as many touches on his body as you think he does, just because those first couple years he was not getting 200, 300, 400 touches because he was the backup running back. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like the video, make sure to hit the like button, as it does help the channel out a lot. And also consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed, as that does help out the channel. But that's going to do it for today's video. Look forward to the next one. Bye.